I, like many others, find myself spending way too much time on social media. Every week when I get my weekly screen usage report, I'm appalled at the number that I see. 3 to 4 hours a day spent looking at a screen, an hour on Instagram here, another hour on Facebook there. Hell, I've even tried uninstalling the Facebook app, but found myself re-logging back in through the browser. Social media kept providing me instant gratification, and I kept coming back. I wanted to find a way to solve this. And me being a programmer, what better way than to write a program to solve my problems for me? Let me show you how I did it. In his book Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about one of the ways to get rid of a bad habit is to make it incredibly difficult. Social media apps nowadays have made it incredibly easy to stay logged in. Preset passwords, constant notifications, and big bright icons are all designed to get you back into the app. Once you have an initial click, you're in. You can keep scrolling, and they have your valuable time. If you could find a way to make it incredibly difficult to log in, you would be less enticed to stay on the app after that initial click. You would have to go through a time-intensive process, which would make you click on the app less, therefore reducing your social media usage. The way I went about doing this is using code to create a random password manager. If I was able to change my social media password every Monday and not know it, I would have to go through great lengths in order to log back into my social media apps. If I had a productive week, I would give myself the password on Friday and then log back in to enjoy social media over the weekend. This strategy would prevent the immediate notice of the app and instant click of logging in. However, if there was something urgent that came up that I needed to check either through Facebook or Messenger, I could go through the great lengths in order to log in. I wasn't fully locked out, but I wasn't able to easily access my social media information. This seemed like a win-win situation, and off to Python I went. I broke this problem down into two main parts. First, the generation of the password, and the second, the means that I would be receiving the password. The first function is the password generator itself. I take advantage of the string and random functions built within the Python libraries. First, I created a list of all available password characters by creating a list of all ASCII keys, all number keys, and all special characters that could be used within a password. Next, set how long you want the password to be. Create a for loop that'll iterate that many times throughout the loop, and append to the password a random character within that new list of characters that you created. At the end, I added an extra shuffle for good measure, and voila, you have a password. Pretty straightforward, right? So now that we have this random password generated, the next step is to figure out how are we going to get these. Sadly, Facebook and other social media apps don't like random programs changing their password. Something about security or whatever, go figure. So in order to do this, I decided to use email. And via email within Python, there's this library called SMTP, or Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, that allows Python to interact with any kind of an email client. It integrates pretty seamlessly with Gmail, and that's what I decided to go off and use. So what I did is I created an empty Gmail, I called it getoffsocials@gmail.com, and turned on less secure access. What less secure access does, even though it might sound scary, it basically allows programs to interact with the email. If this isn't on, you're not going to be able to talk back and forth to it. So now that we have that groundwork set and how we want to do it, let's get to actually writing the script. We have the Python gen script done, and the next step is to create the send email script. Biggest one, do not name this email.py. Python has a built-in email.py. If you name this script email.py, it won't work. So name it literally anything else but email.py. I'm going to name it send email. Cool. Now we have the send email. We have to import our libraries. First one being smtplib, because that's the main one that we're going to be using. And then import the password gen script as well that we wrote before, because you're going to want to get those passwords. Now, blank emails are kind of boring. I don't like blank emails. I don't think anybody else likes blank emails. So I'm going to write a function to say craft email to allow any user to put what they want to put within the email. So subject equals user input. Cool, now we can customize that email and send whatever we want. Next part itself is to write a method to actually send the email. And we need to start to define a few different parameters within the sending of the email itself. First is the email username. Next is the email password itself, so you can actually log in. You're not getting this. Go silly YouTube, you're not getting this password. And then the final one is the email recipient. Who are you actually going to be sending this to? For my purposes, I'm going to just send it to myself. so you can see that it works. Cool. The next step in the process is to actually open up the SMTP server to talk with your email client. And you do this with a statement like this. It's with smtplib.smtp, and then you type in smtp@gmail.com. This allows you to connect to the Gmail port of the SMTP library, which is on port 587. And then you reference this as SMTP. So throughout the rest of our code within this loop, we will reference this entire opening as SMTP. Now that we have that opening, EHLO opens a server, and start TLS encrypts whatever message that we're going to do. So I advise using both of those two methods and then actually logging into your email itself. Log in, email username, email password. Great, you're logged in. Now that we're logged in, the final step that we need is to craft the actual message itself. We want the message to contain that subject and body that we had before, as well as our random password, format it into one message, and then send that message via the SMTP server. So the very first one is, let's get that content that we created in our other method. So subject body is equal to craft email method that we created before. Next one is our random password. And this is done via our password gen function before within the generate password. So now we have our email and our random password, and let's put it all together in one message. Message is equal to, I use an F string here because it combines it all in one line, and it's the best way to usually send an email via SMTP. And I wouldn't say the best way, but probably the easiest for you. So in an F string, subject, colon, and then the subject of your message. So what an F string does is it, in the brackets is whatever the variable you input. Whatever's not in the brackets is just any type of a string. New line, body, new line. And then I like to add a fun little flair at the end that says, your weekly password reset is random password. Cool, your message is crafted. Now you just gotta send it. And you do this via smtp.sendMail from the email username to the email recipient, and you send your message. And then just so we know it worked, we'll print out email sent successfully to whoever we send it to. Cool. All we gotta do is call that send email and we'll send. I'm gonna change my password so you guys don't actually see my password, sorry. One small error as I was going through, this line right here is not smtp@gmail.com, it's smtp.gmail.com. Sorry about that, adjust that little error. So after we corrected that little bug that we had there, all you need to do is run it and we can verify that it works. So as you can see, within our Gmail application right now, there's nothing within our inbox. After we run our program, it's gonna ask you, what do you want the subject to say? I'm gonna say, hey YouTube. Next is, what do you want the body to say? I'm gonna say, have a productive week. Then we know email says has been sent successfully to getoffsocials@gmail.com. And if we load up our email, refresh the page. Hi YouTube, have a productive week. Your weekly password reset is this password. You are then able to take that password, put it in your social media, and forget about it. So that's it, a 2-part Python app to try to reduce your social media usage throughout the course of the week. The biggest factor in making this system worthwhile is accountability. Try to actively not copy that password and paste it into your social media apps throughout the course of the week. What the app does is make it difficult to do so. So when you're trying to log in, you're actively thinking about, do I need to be using this app, or can my time better be spent elsewhere? Try to hold yourself accountable, and thanks for joining on this journey with me. I actually automate this process to run every single Sunday, and I've collected a list of emails of all my friends who wanted to join along the journey with me. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email, and I'll add you to that server, and you'll get a nice welcoming message from myself, as well as a new unique password for you to copy and paste into your apps. Completely understand security on this, so go off, by all means, copy this yourself, and feel free to use it. I would love to see people use social media less and achieve the dream or goals that they would like to do. So, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and liking this video, and until next time, thanks everybody.